Welcome to Leader You by Black River Performance Management, where we believe work should fuel the human spirit, not drain it. In this leadership podcast, we will dive into the lived experiences of people flourishing in today's workplace and beyond. Join us to hear real-life examples of experiences from our own lives and from the leaders we know and trust. Hello and welcome to the Leader You podcast. Today I have the pleasure of introducing a dear friend of mine, Stephanie Adams. In no particular order, Stephanie is a wife, a dog mom, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend, a volunteer, an employer, and an activist. She grew up in Colorado, but has lived in many states throughout her life, some of them twice. She graduated from Idaho State University, go Bengals.
Indeed.
Which was the first time she lived in Idaho. In 2001, she took her degree in biology to several zoos across the nation. She started at Zoo Idaho and then moved to Fort Worth Zoo, Texas, ending her zookeeping career in the Caribbean gardens of Naples, Florida. Animals have always been a big part of her life. In 2008, she founded Pocatello Pet Lodge, a boarding and grooming facility and doggy daycare for Center for Pets. The business grew, and in 2017, they opened a second location. The business won the statewide winner for Best Pet Boarding in Idaho in 2022 and 2023. They consistently win or are a finalist in the Idaho State Journal's Reader's Choice Award for Best Pet Groomer. Stephanie is married and lives in Pocatello, Idaho, for now, the second time. Her small menagerie currently includes 1 dog, 3 cats, and an Amazon parrot. She enjoys camping, Netflix, and medium distance running. Stephanie has earned several achievement awards, including ISU's Business Leader of the Year award in 2020 and Zontian of the Year in the local club in 2018 and 2022. She's also a graduate of Leadership Pocatello, class of 2020. Stephanie's 8-year membership in Zonta Club of Pocatello has afforded her many opportunities to serve in her community and beyond. She's currently the Lieutenant Governor for the District 8 and the immediate past president of one of the local clubs in Pocatello. She is a past Rotarian. That's a weird word. Rotarian.
I think Rotarian.
Rotarian, sorry.
I don't know.
Rotarian.
It's been a while.
Yeah, potato. Okay. And a current member of the Idaho State University Alumni Board, serving her second term, which is actually where we met, so we'll get into that. She's also looking for ways to continue to give back to her community through her business and personal time. And that's how we met, and thank you, Stephanie, for...
It's a pleasure.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here. So far. Yeah, we'll see where this goes.
We will.
So we met through Idaho State Alumni Board. And that was probably 7 or 8 years ago.
It was probably 8 years ago, but I don't really feel like that's how we really connected.
No, it's how we first
got into each other's orbits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been like Businesswomen of Pocatello, something like that.
Yeah.
Some community events that we were involved in.
You go here too?
Yes. I know you're from here, and we just started bumping into each other more and more and more.
And now we do it on purpose.
Yes. Yes, exactly. At first it was just kind of on accident. Now it's purposeful. So let's get into how you became an owner of the Pocatello Pet Lodge. Was that what you dreamt to do all your life?
Yeah. Yep. Ever since I was a wee young thing. So Pet Lodge, I think that's what I want to do. No, I actually never considered taking care of pets personally. And in fact, when I was young, it wasn't even like a job. It wasn't even an industry. Being a vet was about the closest you could get. And I knew with how sensitive I was about everything animals, my mom will attest, that there was no way I could barely even be in a vet clinic, let alone work in one, and be responsible for everything that goes on in a vet clinic. So also I didn't really love school that much. I didn't want a lifelong commitment to paying debt, for one. So I found a different way to work with animals.
Yeah.
Like in the zookeeping industry that was probably one of the most interesting and eventful times in my life. And working at 3 zoos was definitely, I don't know how to describe what that was. I just grew up a lot.
Yeah.
And I realized I become less sensitive about animals for sure, like much more science-based, reality-driven, that kind of thing, without losing my compassion, of course, but being in the zoo is a definite experience. And I miss it sometimes, like every day, almost. Especially when we're like tracking our little animals on our bracelets.
Our little follow.
I'm like, man, I could be doing that for real. But I track pets now, personal pet care. So it's a different industry, but it's definitely a way that a private person could definitely become an entrepreneur, for sure. I mean, not many zoos are privately owned, and if they are, they're usually not that well, run or accredited, and they don't have a lot of the I guess, the glitz and the glamour that people conceive that zookeepers and zoos have. So, but my menagerie at home and my personal pets keep me satisfied with animals.
And your online pets that you track.
Yes.
For those of you that don't have a follow animal, that's FAHLO. We discovered that.
Together we discovered that.
We discovered follow, and I had a dolphin who lost its tracker.
And I had a turtle who probably lost its tracker as well, although who knows. And so when that happened, though, we got emails that said, do you want a new animal?
Yeah, I didn't get one, and I even lost the bracelets.
Well, what are we even talking about this for then?
So, what you said eventful. So, what was one or two of the most eventful things that you saw?
Well, of course, I was in Caribbean Gardens when Hurricane Francis came through, which was fun.
Oh.
And so just being responsible for so many animals and such a wide variety of ways for them to escape or be injured during a situation like that was incredible. So the 50-mile-an-hour winds that we're experiencing here today in Pocatello, I'm like, okay, this is really serious, guys.
Right.
I've seen what that can do. So, so experiencing a hurricane with animals like that. But also, just learning experiences, just doing things you've never done before and having to say, I want to learn this, I can learn this, I will learn this, even if it scares the pants off of you.
You're right, for sure. Being courageous.
For sure.
Yeah. So what brought you to the Pet Lodge? Like, how did that come about?
Sure. So I left zookeeping to take a no-work break. I had never done that before. I was a very traditional person. I graduated high school. I went right to college. I did my 4 years. I found a job. I did that job. I did it, and I went from job to job. Didn't have a job. Was always, type A personality. Not going to leave one till you've got the next one kind of thing. And I just was like, I never had time to do something for me. So I left zookeeping. I was in South Florida. I moved to North Florida. And I was like, I'm just going to hang out and see what happens. My aunt lived there. It was pretty secure. I wasn't, thinking about the future right then. It'll happen for me, right? I have a college degree. How hard can it be?
In biology, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But it was like 6 weeks later where I was like, I'm so bored. I don't know what to do. It was before I was doing civic stuff. It was before I was looking at those kinds of opportunities and opening those doors. And I was so bored. And I thought, I'm going to give the vet thing a try one more time just to see if, maybe. So I started working in a vet's office, and I was like, I love what you guys do here. I love the knowledge you have. I love the lives you save and how you know all the things, but it is still not for me. And they had a kennel manager position open, and I was like, taking care of them, yeah, that I can do, right? I've had pets my whole life. And then I was a boss, like, immediately, because I wasn't 14. And so I was actually recruited by another vet who had, at the time, which was a cutting-edge industry, and that was a pet resort, where it was just a facility just for pets to come and stay. It was owned by a vet, but not in a clinic. There were no sick pets there. There were no surgeries happening, no appointments, anything like that. It was literally a hotel for dogs.
With the water treadmills and things like that.
The whole deal. The bone-shaped swimming pools and playtimes and, everything. And I was like, this sounds way better, obviously. So I worked there for 2 years as their manager. I helped them open a second location. And that was, my husband was getting he wasn't my husband at the time, but he was getting out of the Navy. And he's thinking about, where to go, what to do next. And I was like, well, if I can open a second location and I know everything about running the first location, like how hard can it be to open your own? Now, mind you, I have a bachelor's in biology.
Yeah.
Never took a business class.
Right.
I barely took statistics. And if I did, I don't remember that I did. I would have had to, I imagine. Memorable class, obviously. I had no background in it at all. I really, literally had no business running a business at all. But I Googled how to write a business plan. I plugged in my knowledge from the previous facilities, and there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many years has that been?
15.
Wow.
I know.
That's crazy.
I think anybody who knew me back in the day would have been like, she does not do that. I do not believe you. There's no way she could be the boss of anybody. Like, she's barely the boss of herself. Well, actually, she's probably the boss of everybody, but not in a good way back in the day, right? Because I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
I've done a lot,
sure.
and I've actively sought that out, and I think that's how you and I are the most connected, is me actively saying, help me be better at being a leader.
Yeah.
So.
And I appreciate that. I think that humility goes a long way.
Yes, it can if used in the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're willing to ask for help and see if there's people that can kind of help you on your journey and help you be better at what you're doing. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And I really admire people who can do that. So owning a business is a challenge. None of us really know how to own a business unless we went to business school, and then many of them don't do that. They teach it.
Right. So, well, and that I think is very real, right? It's the adage. What is the adage? Those who don't know teach, or can't do teach. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Those who can't do teach. So, but if you can do and you don't want to teach, what are you supposed to do when you've done all the things? Right. And if you don't know the industry that you're in, but you just buy the business because it looks good on paper, that also isn't a good match. So
and
I think
leading a bunch of new people, too, all of a sudden you have a team, and it has its own culture.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that culture is diverse, and it's changing all the time depending on bringing new people in and that, or losing certain people. Like, your culture is constantly shifting, and you're trying to stay up with it.
Even in my adult life, I am fascinated by team culture. I was never on a team. No, I didn't do sports. I didn't do any of that. Go figure. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff in high school or even younger. I was on the swim team, but swimming is literally an individual sport, right? Like, it's a very independent thing. You can be on relays and stuff, but it's your performance is what matters to you, right? And I've just never had that camaraderie or that level of just engagement with people until I had them as my team, right? And I'm like, why aren't you guys doing the team things that you see other teams doing?
Get it together.
And and I'm like, oh wait, it's me, isn't it? I think it might be me. And that's where I was like, okay, something's got to change. It has to be me.
And usually it's not that. It doesn't go that way. What I see is oftentimes leaders are like, my team sucks. They're not good. They're lazy. They're entitled. They're this. What I love about you is that you said, I got to fix something. There's something that if I do better, they'll do better. They're not getting something from me. I'm not communicating well. I don't. You took that onus on yourself, and that I admire.
Well,
because
thank you.
A lot of people don't do that.
Well, it took a minute to get there, obviously. I mean, I'm a very driven person. I know how to do all the things. I invented these jobs for you. They're easy. I hate that phrase when people tell someone something's easy. That's like the worst thing you could tell someone. It's easy, and then they can't figure it out. Like that is definitely not setting them up for success. I say things like, it's straightforward, but if you have questions, let me know, right? Because it might not be straightforward to you. And if I say it's easy and you say it's not, then what am I telling you?
Right.
So, different mindset. But it took a minute to get there, for sure.
Yeah. So, let's talk about Zonta.
Oh,
and
let's.
your civic
My
duties.
second favorite subject.
Yes. So that's another way that we've been connected to, because I'm a Pocatello Zontian, thanks to you, because I really saw the work that you are doing, and it brought me closer to some of the people that are involved in Zonta. And I want to talk about not just the Pocatello, but the actual Zonta International and what's going on, why you're involved, all the things. So, just how did you get involved in Zonta? And what is it?
How I got involved in Zonta and what is it? Okay, so let's start with what is it first. What is it? It's an international organization that's made up of mostly women. I mean, we do allow men, but it's mostly women that are on some level looking to build a better world for women and girls around them, whether that's on a nationwide scale, a global scale, at their local level, just in their own backyard, whatever that is, whatever building a better world for women and girls means to them. So there's about 23,000 members in more than 60 countries. And their mission is to, a few things. One, empower women, find their voice, right? Whatever their voice is to them. Establish women on an equal decision-making basis with men, right? Get men in there, or get women in there on an equal level, not, anything crazy. It makes it sound like an ultra radical, women's rights organization, but it's not. It's just looking for basics. We want equal rights. That's what we want.
With pay,
right?
With all the things.
And so, also recognizing the fact that everything that is going on a global level, it almost always affects women and girls more drastically. It's more impactful. So, war, pandemic, famine, climate change, all of those things are more profoundly affecting women and girls than they are any other demographic, regardless of race, regardless of country, nationality, any of that kind of stuff.
Can you say why that is?
Well, there's a lot of theories, I think, but the main theory would be that women are, generally speaking, in everyday times, in a more vulnerable state. They're, generally speaking, sometimes less educated. They are at home. They are not always as aware of what's going on. They still have their domestic responsibilities, and I say that in quotes because we all should have domestic responsibilities, but they still have the domestic responsibilities on top of whatever is happening, on top of a pandemic, on top of a war, on top of climate change, right? They still have all those things. And because they're less educated, depending on where they have their backgrounds, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but in general, they may not have as many accesses to resource, knowledge, finances, safety, security, all of those kinds of things. They may be lacking in that way. And all Zonta does, this is the best part, is looks at where those things are lacking on a global scale and where they can make a sustainable impact and tries to help fix those issues and those problems there.
Absolutely.
So Zonta International is that. Zonta District 8 is 12 clubs in our kind of geographic region that come together to work on things. And then Zonta Pocatello is the club here that we look at on a local level. We do things that are on the district and national, international level as well, but we like to help where we can see the help being done, right? We're very hands-on, so.
Yeah, and I got to go to the district conference with you and to be a speaker, and that was an incredible experience to get to be at the District 8 conference level, get to meet the leaders, and also just see what was happening with all of these clubs. And do you want to mention what clubs are in Zonta 8?
Sure, yeah. So we cover Idaho, Washington, Oregon, a couple clubs in British Columbia, and the single club in Alaska. And right now there's only one club in Idaho, but we are working on a Boise chapter. So if any Boise ladies are out there that are interested, we are working on building a club out there, and that is in full swing right now. We have service projects, we have things going on out there. So
that's awesome. There's a few people going to the Boise chapter now, right?
Yes, we have actually a couple members that are Pocatello members technically, but when Boise gets its charter, they'll move to the Boise chapter. So yeah, we got it's happening.
Good. That's super exciting. So the Zonta not district, the international conference is this summer.
Yeah, convention is this summer in Australia.
Yes.
Super excited. I get to go. It's my first one. I was supposed to go to Chicago. Of course, then there was a pandemic, so everything was online. And so I get to go to Australia this year. I'm so excited.
Ah, that's so exciting.
I know.
I wish I could go with you.
I wish you could go with me too.
You can
My
work
husband
something
probably
out.
wouldn't appreciate it as much as I would.
Well, my husband won't let me go by myself to Australia.
Then make it a family affair. You guys can come along.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. But I do get to go to Chicago with you.
I'm so excited when I
In
heard
February.
that. I was thrilled for you, for one, just because it's a cool opportunity for you, and thrilled for Zonta that we get to take even more advantage of your expertise. All the lieutenant governors, we're in a knitting circle. Is that what you call it?
Knitting?
Like quilting circle, whatever you call it, when all the little old ladies get together and chat about everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's. I'm not old enough for that yet. I'm sure I'll know it when I see it. We're super excited. Super excited. And I'm the only one that's like, I know her. It's awesome.
And it's all because of you, too. So that is another thing that I don't take
so I
lightly.
should be like, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Exactly.
No.
So I'm excited to be able to get to know the governors from across the states. And then are there going to be other people from around Zonta International at that conference?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, I know Sala will be there from Finland, and then
She's the incoming international president, and I'm pretty sure at least a few, if not more, of her board members will be there.
some of her board members.
And then I think almost all the lieutenant governors that are incoming governors are supposed to be there. I mean, I haven't heard anybody say they're not going to be there.
Cool.
So I think that's 32 or 33 of them.
That's awesome. I'm excited about the possibilities for the growth of Zonta and what the mission is for creating a better world for women and girls. And
you just fit so nicely into their strategic plan. Right? They have so many things about, building better clubs from the club level up, and having
leadership,
and having opportunities for leadership and that kind of thing, being more visible. And I think that you can bring a lot to that.
Yeah,
it's going to be exciting.
It's good for people to get to know themselves. And then to get to know.
Oh my,
right?
yes.
Yeah, self-awareness.
My assessment was no surprise to me, but I'm pretty sure there were a few of them were saying, "Oh no, this can't be right." So that'll be fun for you. I'm at peace with mine, 100%. I embrace it every day.
Yeah.
Like, hi D, hi C, like no problem. I got it, but I know how to manage it, right? Because I said yes.
Yes.
I understand this. It
makes sense.
I look at
and
it.
You filled it out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like that was it obviously is reflective of me. Embracing it is half the battle, and knowing that it's a problem.
Or it's not.
Or
and
it's not a
a
problem.
strength. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your possible weaknesses? And one of the things that I like about is that we do look at not just your strengths, because if you don't have an opportunity to improve, how will you ever get better?
Right. If you think you're the best and there's nowhere for you to go, there's definitely no learning opportunity, which is why I don't like it when people call themselves experts. Did I tell you this? My pet peeve. You can't be an expert at something, because if you're an expert, to me, that means you know everything there is to know. And you will never be learning any more about the thing, even if it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. I feel like everyone considers him an expert. I don't think he considers himself an expert. He considers himself a student of the science. And he is always looking for different answers, different things, different ways of thinking about things. And so I don't like it when people, oh, you're the dog expert, you're the dog lady, you're the thing. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I may know more than you, and that's okay. But there are lots and lots of other people that know more than me, and I love to talk to those people. I want to know more. I think that's part of leadership too, right?
I love that, and I like. There's a term that I don't like very well either, and it's something from healthcare that I learned. It's called best practices.
Oh,
and it's like. Then
it sounds great.
It sounds so great, but it's like, but is it best practices? How do you ever get better if you're already at best?
I have heard that phrase before, and it never occurred to me to be bothered by it, but thank you.
Well, it bothers me because I think there comes a set of lack of humility and
like you've already got it all figured out.
And that is repulsive to me.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that one too.
I don't like when we think we've got it all figured out. I mean, even in leadership, I'm learning every day.
Right.
I've got a lot of knowledge and experience and education, but there's not. I mean, I'm constantly studying this and learning from
and
the
having
research.
shifts in mindsets or adding new things to your toolbox, all the things. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You might call it a subject matter expert. So like they're the person who knows a lot about that subject. But that I agree that it's there could be a better term. It could be like
guru.
Yeah, guru. I like that. I think I'm
guru.
going to be a guru.
Right? We've decided. We're gurus now.
SMG, subject matter
guru. Love it.
I also like the term thought leader, and I wondered what you need.
Thought leader.
Yeah, and I'm not really one, but
I think I'm more of a thought follower.
I'm a thought spreader.
Oh. It takes all kinds.
You have to have thought leaders to have thought spreaders and thought followers.
If leaders don't have any, they're not leaders unless there's followers.
That's right.
Isn't that right? So
yeah,
I think I'm more of a thought follower. I'm not usually cutting edge.
I'm out here spreading
but I'm a listener.
Yeah.
Like I'm hearing you.
Yeah,
I'm
pick it
like,
up.
yeah, okay.
I love that. Yeah, so can you talk about some of the projects that like you've done in the local area for Zonta and some of the ones that you're doing on the regional level, and then some of the projects, like what kinds of things are they helping to fix?
Oh, sure. Local level. There's so many because we really like our hands-on projects here. There's a lot of them. I guess kind of a flagship project and one that I kind of helped steer and what do you call it? Nurture would be 16 days. So 16 days actually works on the local, district, and international level, but 16 days is from November 25th to December 10th. Every year it's the same 16 days. And it's basically a campaign that Zonta does to, I guess, highlight and bring awareness to a few different topics, but mostly lately it's been domestic violence awareness and also ending child marriage, right? So there are so many ways in which, even in the United States, a child under 18 can be married, and Zonta finds that unacceptable, and so we kind of bring light to that subject. Locally, we kind of more focus on either domestic violence or just abusive relationships where we know that women may or may not always have access to period products, right, and personal hygiene items. And so we collect and consolidate and sort and distribute those kinds of products to 16 different places in Pocatello for women to get free access to them. So we've gone all kinds of places in our community, but mostly we're helping the helpers. Right. So SICA and Family Services Alliance and places like that. High schools and junior highs we've seen in the past too.
So why would they not have access to that?
Oh, there's a lot of reasons why.
But I don't think our listeners would know.
That's fair. Why would they not have access to it? Well, one reason would be it's a power tool for an abusive partner, right? You're not allowed to have access to that because why? I don't want you to leave the house. I don't want you to feel comfortable. I don't want you to have confidence. I don't want you to feel clean. I don't want others to think that you feel confident, comfortable, and clean. I don't want you to go to a job interview. I don't want you to be able to attend school on a regular basis because I know that once a month you're going to have to miss a week because level of embarrassment, just that you don't want to go, that kind of thing. Then financial also, right? We have money for X, Y, and Z, and because you're a lady and you have to go through this every month, that's your problem, right? That's not a family problem necessarily. That's not a thing that our family money would have to pay for. Maybe she doesn't even have access to her own money. Education. Young girls may not be getting the education they need. And surprise, you have your period in your first period class in elementary or middle school. You are caught completely unaware and you don't know anything about it. Maybe you don't have access to money, or you don't have access, in that case, usually to education. We don't want that to be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you, right? Or maybe we do want that to be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you so you can move on from it and be ready to conquer the world. But we don't. We just want the products to be available.
Right.
And one thing I've actually really seen grow over the last at least 5 years that we've been doing this is how other places in our community also want women to have free access to them. Even at ISU, they did an initiative and they have free products in all of the public bathrooms on campus, and at least they're headed that way.
That's incredible.
Super cool,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not a lady's fault.
You know?
It's not a lady's fault. She's got to go through this. It's just, flip of the coin, roll of the
Right.
dice. That's how it worked out. So
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but we kind of focus on just making sure that anybody who needs it, regardless of your reason, even if you're just a super space cadet and you weren't paying attention to your body,
Right.
it should not be the end of your day.
Right. What about the sex trafficking and how is Zonta being a part of that and ending child marriage and all those kinds of things?
Zonta International, that's one of their really big, top 4 goals, is ending child marriage and most of that is happening through sex trafficking and human trafficking. Locally, we do have organizations that are I guess working on that or that advocate for those kinds of situations and women and men in those situations. We like to coordinate with like-minded organizations and just kind of support the work that they're doing. So Blackfoot Club, there was a club in Blackfoot. They were very strongly tied to an organization out of Blackfoot that was looking at sex trafficking and human trafficking. I apologize, I don't remember the name of the organization, but they actually won an award on the district level because of the work and the collaboration
Was
that
it
they
the
had
Bingham
done.
Crisis Center?
No,
Can't remember.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it completely escapes me.
It happens in our neck of the woods, just in
It
case
does.
it
Absolutely.
And I actually heard from a very reliable source that's in the women crisis arena for work that just recently there was a bust in Pocatello at a local hotel with a bunch of girls brought up from Utah and just to be there, for the weekend.
It doesn't even have to be, an organized ring. It could be someone's boyfriend, right? He says, you have to do this. We need money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways that it can happen even locally, and it doesn't have to be this big organized, truckers alleyway kind of thing. It can happen next door, and
Yeah.
you may not even know it.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that we're shedding some light on this. How would people get involved in a chapter? Let's say they're in Idaho. We know that there's one in Boise, there's one in Pocatello, and they could reach out to you. And would you be willing to connect people with other chapters?
I do it all the time. That is
Okay.
part of my job. Absolutely. There are, I don't remember how many clubs there are in Idaho or in the U.S. in general, but I can find you a club. Whether you want physical connection, I can probably get you pretty close to meetings that are happening in person. You want an e-club where we're just meeting online all the time and we're doing more fundraising and advocacy work, can find you something that along those lines. I can probably find you some way. You can also be a sustaining member at the international level and just be supporting Zonta International and not necessarily have a club affiliation. We'd love you to have a club affiliation because we think that obviously it's more fun to serve and to give with friends and people that you enjoy spending time with. But if you just want to support Zonta at the international level, you can just be a sustaining member too, and that is welcome as well.
And that's zontainternational.org.
Zonta.org.
Zonta.org.
Yeah,
Zonta.org
Yep.
is where you would go to find that. And there's also a lot of resources. What I love also is they have an app.
They do have an app. They are really bringing it forward lately. It's been very cool to see Zonta International get with the times. I love it.
I love it too. I've been getting the Fast Action Friday texts that actually help me write our senators. And for things, the most recent one was about women being able to have surgery for reconstruction for breast cancer. That in Idaho, it's unbelievable that that's not covered by insurance at this point, right?
No.
And so that Fast Action Friday gets you in the know about things that are affecting women and bills that might be going into.
And all of the bills are bipartisan. So we're not picking a side. Everything that Zonta supports is coming from both sides of the aisle that everybody has already agreed on, that we just need the support for in the various houses of Congress, the legislature, state level, all of the things.
Yeah, that's incredible. So there's an app, there's a website, there is a text that you can get through ZI where you get the Fast Action Friday and they text you every week when there's something going on. That's really huge. And it kind of keeps you in the know about what's going on, because some of you might be listening and just be like, wow, I had no idea.
Sure.
I learned about some of this stuff with another group that I'm in too, is Women United, where we've had some people from, let's say, Bingham Crisis Center or Family Services Alliance share what's actually going on. And when you talk to those individuals, you actually find out what's going on in your communities. And that's when you recognize it's not just out there, it's here.
Correct.
And it's not just in these foreign countries or whatever, it's here.
Right, child marriage is here.
Right.
Idaho has one of the worst child marriage rates in the country.
Well, it probably comes down to our education level.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of reasons for that. So, yeah, however we can be involved to help raise that. And what I did like that you said, too, is this is not some male-bashing group. This is...
Right.
And so it's not some weird, women's rights thing. It's more about equality and bringing... humanity and understanding that we need to treat everyone with decent respect.
I mean, the honest truth is we're not going to get there without the support of the men,
Yeah.
right? They're the ones that have to open the doors and allow us to take the seats, right?
Yeah.
It's not always coming from a voter base. It's coming from men making different decisions in their everyday lives and when it comes to how they view and treat women.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get there without men supporting this effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to see some of the men that are supportive of it and that show up and support their wives in this, or they even join.
Or their daughters, or their sisters, or their mothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Brings me tears to my eyes because I just think, just how sad that is that happens to people. And I see the power over people, and money is a huge tool to keep power.
Fear.
Money and
fear.
fear are a huge tool to keep people down. And so,
Regardless of gender, honestly, but women
uh,
are usually more susceptible to it.
Especially when they have kids at home. Okay, so one thing I wanted to let you know that I don't know if you're aware of.
Secret
So
time.
his secret's out. We got our podcast results, and we have been listened to in 10 countries. I thought it was 5,
Ooh.
but now I'm thinking, there could be people all around that would learn more about Zonta through this.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, it was incredible. 10
What was
countries.
your 10th country? Just out of
I
curiosity.
don't have my phone. Fiji.
Ooh. Very nice.
Fiji.
We have connections in Fiji.
And I think that was one listener,
That's
but it
okay.
was one person.
Yeah.
The top were U.S. and Canada, and then we had Mexico, UK,
Oh.
Finland.
So fancy. Look at
Finland,
you
and I
moving
think
up.
and Finland might have been Sala. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Sure.
Right, so,
She counts.
and Australia was
Yes.
on there.
Great.
So I'm
This
just
is
excited
awesome.
because this podcast has only been going for a year and a half, and so clearly somebody's liking what's coming out of it. We had a 300% growth rate in the past
amazing.
year, and so. I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's a new year, and I
Toot.
just
Away.
What? found this out.
Women are the only people who use that phrase. I don't want to toot my own horn. Why not? Toot away.
It's probably true.
It's very true.
It is.
Yeah.
It is so true.
This is excellent.
It is.
I've actually never listened to you before. At confession time, I guess.
Okay.
Secret time turned to confession time, but now I'm gonna.
Okay.
Because it sounds like you're legit.
Well, you're a late adopter.
I'm a follower. It takes a minute.
Now that you've been on it, and you can see how fun it is.
And when I go to Australia, I will listen while I'm there just to give you like 2 more people to
Yeah,
have listened to
I might
in
just be
Australia.
there. You never know. We could
That would be
manifest that
so
shit right now.
amazing. That would be so amazing if you did that.
Manifest.
Let's do it. That's real. deal, right?
Because I know we have fun at conferences.
We do. We have fun. Oh, I think we have fun like everything we do.
We do.
I mean, we were in the car for 15 hours one way, and that was not terrible.
That was not bad. And I think it's funny because we both are talkative, and it makes other people nervous.
And we're really funny. In case you haven't noticed.
Just ask us. But what I love is that
definitely
when we
overwhelms
argue about something, I think people are just like, but it's the way we communicate, and we don't take it personal. We don't argue. It's just more like you're voicing this, I'm voicing this, and we're very animated.
Yeah.
And I think it might.
I definitely don't feel like I've ever argued with you, like in a traditional sense.
I don't mean like anger.
But yes, when we have a discussion, people are like, oh my gosh, what's happening over there? I'm like, oh, they're just talking.
No, it's just how they do.
Right, it's just what they do.
Because we're comfortable with each other, and I value
we're grown-ups, and we want to hear each other's perspectives.
Yeah, I love that.
I think both of us come into our conversations with each other thinking we're probably going to take something away from this.
We're going to learn.
Yeah, just as much as we could give something.
That's awe, by the way. Pilo erection for the pets.
Wow, you are an encyclopedia. That's supposed to be my line. Wow, impressive.
Did you know I knew that?
I did not know. How do you know that?
This is pretty interesting.
Okay.
I just got to do a workshop with Dacker Keltner he's a researcher out of UC Berkeley.
Okay.
And he recently wrote a new book on awe and how it can transform your life. It's one of those emotions that there's 8 elements of it. I learned so much about it.
There are 8 elements of awe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do need to listen to your podcast.
Well,
clearly.
You need to read his book. It's incredible. Got to do an awe walk with Dacker Keltner. It was just life-changing, but he's such an incredible researcher, and goosebumps are a sign of awe. So when you have that, that means you're connecting on, there's certain, I can't remember all of them, but there's nature, beauty in nature. There is life and death, like birth and death, of watching someone be born or die. There's that. There's collective effervescence, which is one of my favorite words.
Oh my gosh, I love that word.
Isn't it fun?
Yes.
That is like a concert and being in, or like being in movement and flow with the whole group. Music, I just got goosebumps. Music itself can be a form of awe. Art can be a form of awe.
Wow.
There's 8 elements. So it's spiritual. It's so incredible. And the research, it's actually a pro-social emotion that's helping people it actually helps with children to be more pro-social if they have experiences of awe, walks in nature. It actually brings down your cortisol levels,
the only thing I can think of awe that, like, for a kid that would be, like, so amazing is, like, those underwater aquariums. That would be...
Or space.
I still get awe with that, like, just... What? It's amazing,
And space.
I love moments like that. Space, yes, for sure.
Listen to his book.
Okay.
Because his voice is incredible. And he actually has a podcast, too, for our listeners. I would highly recommend listening to The Science of Happiness by the UC Berkeley, which Center for Greater Good. It's either Greater Good Center or Center for Greater Good. They actually have a Google Calendar as well that has something for you to induce awe every day or have a better life.
Like today, like it'd be overloaded.
No, you just one day it's like write a gratitude letter today. Okay. Tomorrow, listen to a podcast on whatever. This one, get out in nature. So it just gives you one idea so you can be intentional about improving your life.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting in the rut and putting your head down and getting in the suck fest, right?
Very interesting.
Being intentional about setting your mind on something. So, all of that from Pilo Erection.
Wow. Came full circle on that one.
Did you learn a new?
I didn't learn a new word. No, we use that a lot, actually. Pilo Erection is like a big deal where we come from. But I am going to read that book, I think.
Yeah.
So I love those kinds
And you're
of
going to listen to my
moments.
podcast. There's
Yes.
winning. I'm winning.
See, I've already got my Google Calendar filled in. 2 things. One today, one, well, tomorrow. This is my experience for today, obviously.
And what I love about the podcast, The Science of Happiness, they're like 20 minutes.
Oh.
Sometimes they're just a meditation, a walking meditation, but they always bring the science behind it and really good guests. And it's just incredible. And I love what they're doing to try to help people. And this is something that Zontians could bring into their world too, about the pro-social behaviors and things to make people happy and things they can do just right at their fingertips.
Well, and I mean, helping all the time, it takes its toll on you.
It certainly
And
does.
so that sounds like an excellent way to kind of recharge a little bit.
Yeah, for
What was
sure.
the phrase you used? Fill your cup. Yes,
Fill
I
your
never
cup.
heard that before. I had to look it up. You told me you were going to do that, and I was like, is that a thing? What's that
Fill your
mean?
cup.
I know. I had to look it up. That's cool, too.
Well,
See, I learn every time I interact with you something else.
I learned from you too.
It's pretty fun.
It's awesome. Well, how about any of your other civic duties? Like what makes you volunteer and do these things? Is it part of your purpose or?
I don't know. What makes me volunteer? I think the biggest reason why I volunteer is because there's a need, right? Because I have a skill or a thought or a belief that I feel that I can contribute. And so, I work a lot, and I'm working less lately, which has been great, but I work a lot, and that is rewarding in its own way, but not a fill your cup kind of experience, right? And so that's what I want. I don't need mindless time away. I don't spend a lot of time on, video games or movies and all of that kind of stuff, entertainment. I would rather be doing. And so if I can be doing, helping others, then that is what will fill my cup. That is what gives me an idea of like, yes, I actually accomplished something today besides just working, right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like everybody works, but then what do you do with the rest of your time? And I want the rest of my time to be more fulfilling.
Meaningful stuff, right?
yeah.
It's meaningful to you. So
Yeah.
I think for our listeners, if you find yourself in a rut and you find yourself feeling like you have no purpose, no meaning, and you're at a dead-end job, it's okay.
Or even if you're not at a dead-end job, but your regular job is just not doing it for
fulfilling.
you. Yeah.
This is one of the ways that you can get involved and do some more meaningful work. And it doesn't have to be a ton of work. It can be, but it really does fill your cup. It does actually, this is pro-social behavior. This is things we know from the research and the science that people who volunteer have happier lives.
Yeah.
When you are contributing, you have a happier, you're more happy than when you're self-focused or you're a consumer.
And when you're contributing with friends and people you like in a
Connection.
connected way, it's even better.
Yeah, because we need connection. And you're not getting connection on your social media and on your phone. You need to get away from that thing, get out in awe, get out in the community. What was the other? It was just coming to me. The other one is moral beauty. And that is the one that I think you could see in Zonta and the work that they're doing, is seeing moral beauty in someone. Someone helping somebody up.
Is that why I love those videos so much of like the people giving money to homeless people?
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
moral beauty.
Moral beauty. Oh, I love that.
That just gave me goosebumps again. So that is something I'm going to challenge our listeners. It's a new year. And I want to challenge you to, it doesn't have to be Zonta, but it needs to be something.
Oh, I've got a million ideas. If you need an idea, you let me know.
Yeah, whatever you find passion in.
And on whatever level you've got.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all in. You don't have to take this, 50-foot plunge. Just put your toe in the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Just try it a little bit. And
And find out if it's for you. It might not be just like you did when you went and worked with the vet for.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, this isn't it.
Still not for me.
Still not it. But move around. Whether you're volunteering at a zoo, whether you're volunteering with a women's group, you're volunteering with a men's group, you're volunteering with a
Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, whatever that you can do to serve your community and connect with others in a meaningful way. that is going to bring your overall happiness up, your purpose in life. You create your purpose. You don't find it.
I agree.
It's in there already, but you have to do the work. You've got to explore and find out what would ignite you and what sets your ass on fire.
Exactly.
So obviously, this sets your ass on fire.
Right. Don't actually set your ass on fire unless that's what you're into.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the podcast, we generally I ask 3 questions. Like,
good.
I'd like you to come
I really should have listened.
Well, now it's definitely
Dang it.
improv. You're good at improv. What wisdom, what would you want to tell your younger self? We have a lot of younger listeners too that are just trying to gain insights and wisdom. What would you tell your younger self? What are the things you wish you knew earlier? And also, a couple of those things, 2 or 3.
One that is glaringly obvious that I actually use with my team a lot is one thing that I wish I would have had back in the day was a better sense of who I was taking advice from. So we all have adults and grown-ups in our lives when we're younger, and even, our parents and our parents' circles and that kind of thing, because you don't really have your own circle, really, of people who can give you actual advice. And we're not talking about peers.
Yeah.
Right? So colleagues at first jobs, bosses, things like that. Just make sure, take stock of who you're listening to and what is that advice meant to help you, or is that advice meant to help that person look better to you? And so I have a few things that pieces of advice that I've taken that I wish I wouldn't have taken, and I think that probably set me back a little bit. Not that it was life altering or that kind of thing, but have any kind of stories like that, but. And just being careful of who, what kinds of advice, and why is the person that you're listening to so valued in your life? Is it actually helping you and making you a better person, or are they just trying to make them a better person in your view?
Yeah,
So that would be
huge.
One.
Yep.
So I try to mentor, if you use that word. I it's not really my favorite word either, but I know what it means, and I do obviously do that. I wouldn't call myself that, but I do that with my team. At least I hope I do. And everything I'm trying to help them with is making them a better person, not making me look like a better person.
Right. Yeah.
I want them to actually be better people.
Right.
Even if it's not working for me.
Yeah.
Even if it's at their next job or 5 jobs down the line,
Yeah.
that they're like, oh, I know what she's talking about now. I remember when she told me that, and she was totally right, and now I can implement that in my life, right? I want that for them to be able to take that with them to their future stuff, because, Pet Lodge is not a career for most people. Just because it's my life and my career, I'm helping other people build their careers, and I'm happy to help them do that if they want to do that.
Oh, that is awesome. I have another book for you then, because what you're doing is revealing people's hidden potential.
Oh.
And that is a book for our listeners too, Hidden Potential by Adam Grant.
Oh, I've heard of Adam Grant.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like we get to do for a job, is reveal talent and hidden potential. And but it takes everybody doing that. It's somebody that invests in people, and like you said, not to make themselves look better, but to help that person. And the more we can help each other and show love and compassion for people where they're at, the better off people are going to be.
Agree.
Any last tips for our wish you?
Well, I thought I was getting 3 questions.
Yeah, well, that just any 3 things that come.
Good, 1 question.
There's one question, 3 answers.
Nailed it.
See, anything else that you wish you would have known, or you have a favorite quote, or just you have, like, I think if you knew this, it would be.
I don't know if I don't have anything like that, obviously. I think my life is pretty good. I don't have it all figured out, clearly. I cry. I'm frustrated. I go and...
You're human.
Right, exactly. And I guess maybe one other thing, and I was going to thank you for talking to me about this, to us about this in the past. And it really hit home for me, and I don't think that I've shared this with you, and I don't think that you knew it hit home for you. And it's not something I didn't know, but to have it said the way you said it, I was like, I get it now, and I totally do. I've incorporated this since conference. When you were talking about my example on the jumbotron of my assessment, and how, you get me and you understand, that what I'm going to bring to the table is details, right? You listed it off, and you're like, but what she has to understand about me is that I want to be treated like a person first. And I know that, and I've spent a long time really focused on people, trying to say things in a nicer way, and trying to, not talk at people when I'm angry and that kind of thing. But to say, okay, she wants to be treated like a person first. When I heard that, I was like, that's exactly how I need to look at every interaction that I have with people. And so that piece, if I had known that 20 plus years ago, that would have been nice to know. Right. But everyone was like, it's just how she is. You just have to get over it, right? And yeah, some of it is, right? We all have to deal with each other's personalities and the way they are, but there is some give and take.
You have some choice in that, don't you?
Right. Well, we all do.
Yeah.
Right.
So do I.
And so if you want to allow it, you allow it. If you don't allow it, then you need to say something, but you got to say something. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I never start a text anymore with the thing I want to say. I always now start a text with good morning or hello or hi, how are you? Hope everything's going well today. Here's the thing I need. Yeah. And I just love that. And I wish that I would have gotten that part of it 25, 40 years ago, right? Yeah. So
it sounds simple, but it's not easy, because
we get
thinking about what we need to do, and we get into the task mode. And it's like, that's when people start to feel like a cog in the wheel in the organization, or in the friendship, or in the volunteer role. When you start to feel like a cog in the wheel, and you don't matter, well, you could do this stuff anywhere. Right. I could work anywhere. Not anywhere, but I could get another job doing this or that. I could volunteer my time, definitely. A lot of people will take me. So if it's meaningful to you, you just want to be acknowledged. Mm-hmm. All of us want to be seen and heard.
And I never thought about how I start a conversation, because I always think about how I finish it, right? I'm always thinking about how are you about to walk away from this conversation? I rarely think about starting it, unless it's a difficult conversation, obviously. Those are hard. But even just an average everyday text of something I need or want or need to have done or anything, now I'm like, hi, good morning. And I feel like, even just for me, it changes the tone of my text, for one, usually. Yeah. And I'm hoping, and I don't have evidence of this, but I'm hoping that the other person is feeling like I'm treating them like a person first, because I don't have to treat AI like that. Yeah. I don't have to say, good morning, AI, are you ready to work today? Are you having a great day? No, you just put in the thing and it spits out the thing, and it's a transactional deal. Right. But with people, and especially with my team and my family, I've really been trying to say something acknowledging the fact that they are indeed a person.
And you just nailed it on the head, that it's not a transactional relationship. It's a relationship. Right. And a relationship requires work and effort and seeing their humanity, not just, what can you do for me? This is what I need. And that right there, one shift can have a huge impact on your relationships. Yep. But when we're not aware of it, I don't know.
And like I said, I've known it, but to have it said like that, I was like, that is exactly what I needed to hear. Right? Yeah, you get told in all kinds of leadership classes, you got to have your EQ real high, and you got to know what other people are thinking, you got to read the body language, do all the things. That's the easiest thing that I've ever heard. Treat them like a person and then tell them what you want.
Just you're not at a cash register. Right. It's not a cash register or an AI. I love the example of plug it in and get what you want. Yep. You're talking to human beings. Also, what you might not know is that the person isn't doing...
People work at cash registers too.
I know, they do, but not much. I'm talking about the self-checks. Okay. Right? The self-checks.
Point of order.
But even there's still somebody there watching you, but eventually it'll be a robot. Yep. But I'm thinking, I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but it's fine. It was good. It was a good joke. Well, I really appreciate you being on here.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been fun.
If people want to reach you and learn more about Zonta, how do they find you?
I guess the easiest thing would be to call the Pet Lodge and leave a message. No, for Zonta, my email is probably the best, and it's very easy. It's Stephanie A. Zonta at gmail.com.
Okay.
So that, I mean, if Zonta related or really anything related, I can get you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
And
Fun times.
Yes, thank you for listening to the Leader You podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please share it with your network and help us grow it in many other countries. And
There's so many.
Yes, and Stephanie is definitely going to be a listener now, and she's
Got to
going
catch up. Got some homework.
and she's going to share it with her network. So
I will.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. This podcast is brought to you by Business Women of Pocatello, engaging, empowering, and educating women in business in Pocatello, unleashing potential, sparking success. In the heart of Pocatello, a vibrant community of dynamic women are rewriting the narrative of entrepreneurship and the business world. Meet our remarkable businesswomen of Pocatello, a collective force of like-minded individuals united by passion for growth, collaboration, and community impact. These visionary women are not just building businesses, they are cultivating and supporting a network that transcends traditional boundaries. Our community is a hub where business education takes center stage. Monthly gatherings provide an invaluable platform for these trailblazing women to exchange insights, share experiences, and dive into the latest trends of their industries. From workshops led by industry experts to collaborative roundtable discussions, the businesswomen of Pocatello are committed to continuous learning, ensuring that each member has the tools to thrive in an ever-evolving business landscape. Engagement with the wider community is at the core of our mission, and we raise funds for local women to establish and improve a current business or to get an education to improve business skills. Through partnership, through local organization, and active participation in community events, these inspiring entrepreneurs not only are strengthening their businesses, but also contributing to the collective prosperity of Pocatello by being a member of this organization. The impact extends beyond professional realms, reaching to the social fabric of our city. These women are amplifying their voices and collectively advocating for policies that foster a conducive business environment. As members of the Chamber of Commerce, we have found that they serve as a powerful ally, providing resources, connections, and a unified platform for the businesswomen of Pocatello to elevate their ventures. Beyond the balance sheets, our community is driven by a higher purpose. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to nurturing the next generation of female leaders by engaging, empowering, and educating women in business. We provide a platform for mentorship, relationships, grants, and resources. We aspire to break down barriers and create opportunities for aspiring businesswomen to step into leadership roles within our community. I myself am a member of Businesswomen of Pocatello, and I am the winner of one of their scholarships. I highly recommend their group as something to help you elevate your business, whether you are in business, interested in being in business, or just want to get around like-minded individuals. Hope you'll check out Businesswomen of Pocatello and invest in your future.